Okay, so for this answer key, again, largely going to just try to talk about this to kind of motivate the discussion here. So first part is, why does the number of substitutes influence the price elasticity of demand? So in general, our price elasticity of demand, um, it influences the elasticity because essentially it would alter our sensitivity, right? If there's a lot of substitutes for the product and the price of the product goes up, then I'm likely to just use one of those other substitutes. But think about a product that doesn't have a lot of substitutes, like gasoline, right? Our demand for it is quite inelastic because, yeah, there are some alternatives, like an electric car, like a, I don't know, like imagine like a Fred Flintstone car where you power it with your feet. Yeah, these things exist, but they're not very useful. So the reason why gasoline, for instance, is inelastic is because there's not a lot of alternatives that are um, there's not a lot of alternatives that are useful um, for talking about transportation other than for gasoline. Now, for something elastic, let's talk about bread, right? Not only do I not have to eat bread, but among brands, right, there's lots of different bread brands out there, and most people don't really care. So our price elasticity of demand for bread and a particular brand of bread, it's quite elastic. Why is it critical that a business know what the price elasticity of demand is for goods that they sell? So in general, when we're the reason why it becomes important is because um, it allows us to create a pricing strategy, right? It allows us to know whether changing the price, lowering the price, could allow me to capture more customers, or whether, in some sense, price has almost no influence on what people are buying, and whether I need to design a different kind of marketing strategy. So, to own a business, you need to know what the elasticity of demand is for the good that you're selling. Otherwise, I don't know how you would try to drive more business to things for your things. What would the marketing strategy consist of for a good where the price elasticity of demand is negative 10? So if it's negative 10, this is pretty elastic. The way to read that negative 10 would be is that we have a 10% decrease in the quantity demanded for a 1% increase in the price. So that's a 10-to-1 ratio for moving the quantity demanded versus the price. So what would the marketing strategy be? Since this is a pretty elastic good, you probably are going to drive more customers to your business by doing price discounts. So it's all going to be about pricing. In class, we discussed this as, um, elective surgery, for instance, or um, orthodontics. But not like any orthodontics, but that kind where they can't see your braces, Invisalign or whatever. Number 4, if a firm lowered the price of a product by 20% and there was a 30% increase in the quantity demanded, right? So let's write this out here. %20 decrease, 30% increase. Then write so this would be about negative 0.66. That would be inelastic because it's a oh, sorry, I misread this. Sorry. Let's erase this here. Sorry, I wasn't looking at it closely enough. I lowered the price by 20%, and I increased the quantity by 30%. So my elasticity of demand would be negative 1.5. This would be slightly elastic. It's in absolute value terms, it's greater than 1, slightly. So this would be an elastic good. Explain in words why the price elasticity of demand changes along the demand curve, even though the slope of the line may be constant. So here, the difference between the two is that price, the slope is talking about absolute changes, numeric changes, rise over run, right? Actual quantity or price unit changes. Whereas elasticity is all about percentages. And when we're talking about percentages, that's all related to the base number, where you are at along each of the curves. Number 6, if at the price of $50 there are 20 units sold, and when the price is $60 there are 10 units sold, calculate the price elasticity. Okay, so for this we're going to need to calculate the percentage changes. So I'm going from 50 to 60. To go from 50 to 60, that's a 20% change in the price. And I'm going from 20 units sold to 10 units sold. That's a 50% change in the quantity. So 50 over 20. We should have a price elasticity of demand of negative 2.5, which makes it elastic. Why is it important to know the cross-price elasticity for a good when you own a business? Well, in general, what that would mean is that I then can think about what my pricing and marketing strategy is going to be based on the other things that consumers buy when they buy my good. So for instance, if I sell steak, or meat products, I might also be concerned about what the price of potatoes are, something that's used in conjunction with it. So I might want to try to coordinate what I'm doing with what others are doing, and that's going to help me develop kind of a coordinated marketing strategy for my product. And then finally, number 8. Even though prescription drugs have a price elasticity of demand that is inelastic, why do websites like GoodRx exist? So what GoodRx does is it allows you to kind of make price comparisons for prescription drugs. Now, why would we do that, right? I mean, essentially, we know that people are going to buy the drugs, but the reason why is because even though the product being sold is inelastic, where you buy it from, you are elastic. Right? So in some sense what we're saying is you don't care whether you pick up your prescription at the grocery store, if they have a pharmacy inside, at Walgreens, or whether they mail it to you, right? Or you go to Costco or Sam's Club. So that's why a site like GoodRx exists, because some consumers are going to price shop where they pick up their prescription from. So even though they have to have the prescription, they might not care where they get it from. Okay.